Hello and welcome to an episode of Split the Screen. I've still no idea what number it is, but it is the 31st of March, which means, you know what tomorrow is?
Is it something important?
It's April Fool's Day. So you've been warned. I mean, there's going to be so many annoying gaming ones. Are there any April Fool's Day Eurogamer ones, Ed?
No, because we are a reputable news site. I have already received various. Which one are you? I may have received some PRs from people with an embargo of 1st of April, and you're like, right.
It is obvious.
I wonder what this is.
Yeah. But well, welcome. I am Ben Austwick, a just a lowly Twitch streamer, but I am joined by royalty here. This is the Eurogamer's very own Ed Nightingale. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm doing very well, Ben. How are you doing?
Very, very well. This is my chill time. I was observed teaching a class today, and I've just been stressed all week. And now that's over, I'm just going to relax. And I kind of wish I had alcohol here, because I don't, and I really wish I could.
Just get tea. Tea's the best.
I've got Coke Zero. That's my tea. Yeah. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some other stuff that we've been doing. But very quickly, not this weekend coming, but the weekend after, we're off to WASD, aren't we?
We are. We're off to WASD.
And you're going to test out on the Friday, because if they have decent Wi-Fi or like internet access, I was thinking about we could do like a double live stream there, or at least record some stuff.
IRL stream?
Yeah, or at least I'll record the video. I'm going to buy a gimbal. You know gimbals?
I have no idea what a gimbal is.
You hold it and the camera's steady, so it doesn't move around.
Oh, one of them. Okay, cool. WASD, for people wondering, is not just the keys on the keyboard. It is a games convention that is happening in London. So there are going to be a few publishers there showing some stuff. I know that 2 Point Campus is going to be there. I think some games from Team 17 and Devolver, I think, and some others. So yeah, I will be there for work on Friday, and then we will go on the Saturday, and I guess maybe we'll give people a little tour.
Just goof
and
around.
It will be full of smelly teenagers, and we will have to wear masks and just disinfect ourselves constantly.
Yeah, I'm going full, kind of head to toe, kind of hazmat suit. Yep, that. I do that every time I go into a video game store here as well. So the smells.
Yeah, much like Gamescom, but a lot smaller. It's a lot smaller. It's not a huge convention.
No, it's round an alleyway. Anyway, we are joined by a very, very special guest. Would you like to introduce them, Ed?
We have the absolutely wonderful and amazing Urbanbohemian, aka Brian. Welcome on in.
Hey. You're muted. There we go.
Naturally, I'm muted. I'm naturally. There you go.
You can tell it's a Zoom call.
That's it. Hi.
Welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for joining us. Every Zoom call, at least half the people on there never unmute themselves. Yeah.
It's been.
Well, I knew that important things were happening, so I was like, let me just mute myself so I don't laugh or giggle or something. And nope, gone.
I had to teach an online class with 30 students, and it was all online, and one person had their camera on. Literally one person. And one person accidentally turned theirs on, and they were lying in bed, fully clothed and everything, but lying in bed, and just went, and moved the camera away because they're like, don't look at my face. And nobody, I'd ask a general question to everybody, and one person would maybe reply. It was the longest 3 hours of my life.
Awful.
It was
3 hours. Oh my gosh.
3 hours. It's horrific. Oh, how are you doing today, Brian? Have you got a busy day?
It's been busy-ish. I was traveling earlier this week, and I got back, and I'm still a little bit jet lagged, but catching up with work it's always fun to be away from home and then catch up with your inbox. So yeah, it's been okay.
As Yuffie says, the amazing voice. You definitely are the amazing voice of Twitch.
I thank you. You're gonna embarrass me and I'm gonna leave. So no. trying to just lean into that.
I love.
You should totally do some ASMR because I think you absolutely have the voice for it.
I need to look up. I don't know how you set your mic because we're so used to having our microphone set for streaming. I have no idea what settings you do and what you do to like get it ready for ASMR. And leaning that close to any microphone is deeply uncomfortable. It's like no.
It's relaxing for people.
Yeah, I don't get it, but sure. I appreciate a nice voice, but I don't. I think hearing somebody whispering when I'm trying to go to sleep would give me like nightmares.
Right, it seems like it would be creepy, and yet everyone's like, "Oh no, it's really nice and comforting." And I fall asleep, and I'm like, no, that's too much whispering.
I do quite like ASMR. I don't fall asleep to it, but it's quite nice to just switch off and just have someone talk to you. I weirdly get quite into like the opticians ones.
Wait, what?
Where they do like full role play of like at the opticians, and it's them like stroking the screen and like pretending to do eye tests. And for some
definitely
reason,
revealing something about yourself right now, Ed.
This is news to me. This is opticians. What about dentists? Do you like a dentist drill?
I love the weirdly specific skits that they do. And yeah, like there's always a vision test. There's always a spa. So you can also have their hands kind of like pretending to touch your face. So it's definitely more than just the sounds.
Well, I mean, I mentioned it to Ed actually, like when I was younger, we used to go, because my parents were teachers, so we used to spend like 7 weeks in the south of France in like a campsite. And my brother and I, we used to share a tent. My parents would get the nice caravan. But I used to like go to sleep in the tent while my parents, like late at night, they were just kind of like quiet sounds, quiet tones, just talking to each other about whatever. But like that sound.
Where are you going with that?
Yeah, no. I used to fall asleep to listening to my parents fucking. No, I didn't.
Wow.
Not outside a caravan. Anyway.
Is there an ASMR channel for that?
I don't know. No.
Nobody searched that on YouTube, but I guarantee rainy night while couple in the next room is having sex is definitely a YouTube ASMR video.
It is. Oh. Where's this going? I was just that. So that used to now I'm going to be horrified. But that kind of hushed tones of people just talking quietly outside while hearing like grasshoppers and things was my kind of falling asleep. But now I'm horrified. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So what are you drinking today, Brian? Because I love your streams with like your cocktails and your various mixology.
Oh. Honestly, today I'm just drinking water. These are things I didn't ask ahead of time. Like, can we swear? And should I show up with a drink?
I mean, I've just been talking about my parents.
I should have been ready.
So
yes, that's true. I should have made a drink. I didn't today. It's just water. So
what's on the cup though? It looks really cool.
Oh, this my friend actually, she's on Twitch. The Opera Geek sent me this mug, and this tumbler. I guess it's huge. And it's got the D&D ampersand, and this design is based on the Dungeon Master's Guide.
That's really detailed. I love it.
It's very large. I dread one day making enough iced coffee to go in this because I will go at the speed of light. It'll be amazing.
Amazing. Oh, yeah, I could really do the coffee, but I'll have this instead. But Ed has some questions for you, don't you, Ed? Get your interview.
Oh, no.
Have you got your notebook?
Don't do this. This is meant to be a natural conversation, and every time you're like, Ed's going to interview you.
I've told everyone this is 100% scripted. Like it's really right over here. Everything is right. Yeah. It's like a teleprompter app they sent me. It's on my computer. It's great. It's going up the screen.
Yeah. We reviewed Brian's answers and made sure that they adhere to our editing and all that.
Not enough swearing, not enough filth.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm so wow. I didn't know.
Money says yes. Money says they really are that organized. Ed is. I am not whatsoever.
I came up with a plan.
Yeah. Oh. You're in charge.
So Brian, tell us about your stream. When did you first start streaming, and what kind of got you into it in the first place?
I started streaming 6 years ago, and it was just off of my Xbox since they had the ability to just go directly live from your Xbox, and it was awful. I hated it. I only had the pre headset that came with the thing, and of course your first stream, no one's in chat, no one's doing anything, you're not sure if it's all coming across. But I had I had enough fun just saying, oh wait, this is time that I can play video games, that I went ahead and went back to it. And God, like I think about that, 6 years. Yeah. I mean, I talk to people who've been on Twitch much longer than that, so it still feels like a very long time. And I think I was just mainly doing console games for the longest time. I was probably streaming a lot of Destiny, and probably way back when, like Overwatch and other things like that.
I wonder if our paths crossed then, because I was streaming Destiny about 5 years ago, back in the day.
Well, I know we talked once about like doing a Destiny stream because we both knew that we were interested in the game. But as I was mentioning on the pre-call, as much as we love to do things with each other, streamers, we never actually are able to make that happen.
No, we do really need to get like a group of us organizing, like play a raid or something, because the last raid I did was, by the way, can I just say how amazing it is to have somebody that actually understands like and enjoys Destiny, because the amount of times,
like a call out,
the amount of times I bring up Destiny and I get faced with eye rolls, or oh god, here he goes talking about Destiny.
It's not so much what you're talking about; it's the frequency of it.
Well, Destiny is a full-time job that you have to play every week.
Again, not really selling it to me. Like, I don't dislike it, but it's just the way you sell it. It's like, it feels like a job.
I mean, I really can't understand what about it you wouldn't love. It's a gorgeous sci-fi setting that is nothing like at all what they initially planned for it to be. They had these lofty goals of being this massive MMO, and then they were like, that's not going to work, so let's make an MMO shooter. The story has been rich every season. I mean, I don't like the season rank thing, so that's a lot. I also don't do any PvP. I really only play it for the story. Is that like reading Playboy for the articles? I play Destiny for the story. And shooting aliens. You get to shoot aliens in the face at the end of a long day. I don't know why anyone needs to explain any more things to you, Ed.
No, I get that. I played the first Destiny a fair bit. I just sort of dropped off it. I think all of the updates and every year, like a new chapter, and then it's suddenly you've got to pay for a whole new thing. I was like, I just can't keep up with it.
That I do understand. That's been very frustrating to lose access to things.
Oh yeah, the new expansion though is brilliant. It's really, really good. Have you played through the whole campaign?
I played through the initial campaign, so I now know the big deal with Savathun and the Darkness, but I'm now doing the cleanup stuff, all the extra things that come along with it. So I'm still doing those, but this is one of the best stories that they have told. And because they did a really good job of storytelling, they reached back, way back to a lot of old lore and turned it into something. It's like, oh, all of the things that you thought and all of the characters that you were mad at, turns out they had these great motivations or not. They've done a really good job at, over the past few expansions and stories and seasons, turning enemies into not quite enemies, or realizing that maybe the people you've hated all this time were kind of justified in their actions, and the big technological super god in the sky might not actually be good. It just might be there. They've done a really good job of that, and a lot of conspiracy theorists who love to deep dive into the game's lore feel vindicated every single time they put something out.
That's another thing I love about it, is it's never obvious what's going to happen next. And I love that. Like, everybody's got all these theories and like suggestions of what's going to be coming next, and it's like, well, are we the bad guys? Are we the baddies? Because I mean, we're currently torturing enemies to give us information, and it's like,
right?
Is that
just like we're torturing Ed by talking about this, but we're not going to stop.
No.
They also, I think they do that with like this
torture.
amazing job of storytelling and environmental storytelling. I know when, oh goodness, Rasputin, when the whole thing with that was happening, very slowly they kept putting things in the backgrounds of the maps. So, all of a sudden, like, these satellite towers started slowly growing and coming out of nowhere, and the sky kept changing. And in some things you could actually see like ships slowly approaching in space, all lending into the story they were telling. And that's what made it rich, in addition to the fact that, yes, it's a shooter with repetitive gameplay that is hard to put down.
It is. And like, I am one of those that gets really addicted when it's kind of ticking checklists and stuff like that. So there's the season pass, there's all the other things that you can get the powerful gear from that you have to fulfill and do all these activities. There's also the season.
I can chase gear. I can chase down numbers. I can, like I've got to get to 100 season rank. I don't know why. I just do now. So
I was literally playing it about 2 hours ago. In fact, I've got all these games that I need to finish, these story games, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna bring up Destiny. Although I did bring it up on PS5, and it kind of frustrated me a bit, the controls. So I then went over to PC, and I feel like I'm cheating when I'm playing on PC. It's just so easy to control.
Really, is it the control, like the actual controller? Are you mouse and keyboard on PC?
I'm mouse and keyboard on PC. So, and I play as a hunter, so I'm really agile and moving around, and I find it really, really easy on the mouse and
I've
keyboard.
always played with a controller, no matter what, whether it was Xbox to Windows to PS5. Now I've always played with controller. So when people are doing stuff with mouse and keyboard, I am just astonished. And then they ask me, what button do you press to that? And I'm like, I don't know. You have so many. Like, figure it out.
I've reassigned like so many of mine as well. They're like, well, for me it's V if I want to throw a grenade. And
isn't that the best?
Yeah.
You're telling to someone, it's like, for me it's V. Oh, that helps me not at all.
Yeah. Oh, but I really love Destiny, and like some of my favorite times playing games have been playing the raids, because you really bond, because there's 6 of you, you're working together. Sometimes a raid can be like, if people don't know it, although a lot of people don't know it, they can be like 6 hours, 7 hours to complete it. I mean, you do get really good rewards, but like once you've finished it and you've learned all the mechanics and you've all worked together to defeat whatever it is in each part of the raid, it is incredibly rewarding.
I hate raids.
Yeah.
I always, in any MMO, it's not Destiny specifically, but I've definitely been this is hour 4 or 5 of 1 or 2 people not really knowing what to do, and it's like, I have to go to bed. I've got to go to bed now. I'm done.
Yeah, and then you can hear everyone else go, oh, okay, we're not finishing it today.
Right.
But I think they've added checkpoints now to raids.
I think it's gotten a little easier now to space it out.
Yeah. I think, we should definitely try sometime. But I will maybe watch a video or join a kind of a raid group and kind of learn the mechanics a bit, so I can hopefully help a bit more. Because there was the Leviathan raid, which is the first one of Destiny 2 that came out, and I remember learning that like the back of my hand. Like it was really, really. I was able to do it really quickly, and
nice.
I was quite proud. And then they got rid of it. Great, cheers.
Yeah, the content shuttering. That's like, I understand why, but even so, it just feels awful to have. I think the worst part about it, again, talking about storytelling, is there were all these pieces to those worlds and those raids and those stories that lent themselves to what's happening now. And now there are references made to things that a new player has no basis for. They just, like, they're naming people and they're naming things that happened, and a new player is like, I'm just going to go along for the ride because I'm not 100% sure what's happening. So that part has been very frustrating, to the point where I think they've even just silenced voice lines that refer to older characters because they haven't figured out if they want to re-record them or remove them completely. And it's like, so you see the captions on screen for things and there's no audio. It's like, okay, that's odd. But
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, if you're on Nessus, failsafe for so many of the patrols just is, you can see the dialogue, but there's no audio at all.
Wow. Okay,
I checked to see if maybe it's my glitch or something, but yeah.
I'll have to keep my eye out for that. Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like Ed had questions, and we've just kind of like.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll go into question 2 soon.
We're only on question 1. Oh my god.
So yeah, what was the second? Yeah, no. By the way, when it comes to Destiny, though, if Call of Duty can be 200 gigabytes, can't they? You know, Destiny can get away with being 150. You know, keep the stuff it's got, rather than shuttering stuff that people have bought for. Like,
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't agree that you should essentially be buying an entirely new SSD just for a game, but there is a middle ground that they haven't found, and I think that they were worried about on their end just the speed of loading things, like, because it became the online service game. It's like, yeah, it was too much for them to handle on their end, and I'm like, yeah, but split it out into separate games. I don't know, whatever. I'm not a game dev, and I work in IT, but not that kind of IT, so I don't understand any of it. I just have to go along with it and give them my $60.
Yeah, me too. Every single time it comes out. Sometimes I even double dip on PS5 and PC as well, just to make sure they're all getting all the money.
I do. Don't tell anyone, but yeah. I'm like, well, sometimes I feel like playing it over here, and sometimes, no.
Exactly. But unfortunately, now I live in just one room, so it's like I can't really justify getting both from that TV there to this screen here. I mean, I can't really justify it now. Ed, what's the second question that you've got for Brian?
Is Destiny typical of the games you play on stream, or do you tend to play other games?
No, I don't stream Destiny at all. Why would you think that?
I've watched you stream Destiny.
Destiny is just because, yeah, I enjoy the storytelling and the sci-fi, and I love playing MMOs, but so many games do fantasy, and I prefer something that's more in a different setting. But probably Assassin's Creed, when they started with Origins and Odyssey, I ended up streaming those a lot. Every Sunday, I stream Animal Crossing, and I've been doing that since the start of lockdown, and that's just been a, like, I guess it's ASMR without being ASMR because we're just kind of running around and doing nothing. And I'm just kind of talking and chatting and waking up. And so are a lot of people in my time zone. And other than that, it's kind of like food and drink and the occasional talk show, but very rarely those, because it's easier to have something feeding me content to talk at. Just sitting and putting the microphone on and chatting for 2 hours feels terrifying. Admittedly, you get to the end of that 2 hours and you're like, wait, where'd the time go? So you have been doing it, but you have no idea what you said. So
yeah. So how did you get into doing more food and drink on stream then? And is it literally you sharing recipes, or is it more just a kind of fun vibe of cooking some food?
It's a little bit of both. Initially, and I'm trying to think, I believe my friend Tracy is the one who suggested that I try doing a stream from the kitchen. And that took a lot of cables and wires and extension cables, and it worked okay. And now I've kind of gotten a better setup for it. But yeah, it's mostly nowadays, it's kind of a cheat because I don't cook enough. I end up ordering in and taking out. So I will cook something and like, this is going to be my weekly dinner. And I end up cooking it on Tuesdays around the time I'd normally make dinner. So it's sort of a cheat. Like I get to make dinner for myself. I turn it into content, but I also now share the recipes that I make. And food has always been a big part of my content, even before Twitch. So I kind of like to demystify cooking a little bit. And I know they're not necessarily scared of it, but they immediately think, I can't cook, I can't bake, I can't make these things. And it's just not true. So I like to show off that a lot of things that look really impressive are actually very easy to make. They just, you just do little things to make them look really good at the end. And I like to drink, so I like making a lot of cocktails. That's it.
What is your cocktail of choice?
I think my cocktail of choice that I like most often is a cosmopolitan. So I'm a big vodka person just because vodka is so versatile in drinks. But right now, oh wow, my liquor cabinet's actually kind of full, so that's nice. And
vodka makes me versatile as well.
I've heard that, but I know it's very difficult to deviate from your bottom ways. Don't worry about it; it's fine.
It gives me the power to talk.
It's like BiggusBennus, BB, Big Bottom. I mean, come on, it's already in the name. It's right there.
It writes itself.
Yeah, wow. And I'm trying to remember when, because time is meaningless, but I know like sometime in the past year, I started making non-alcoholic versions of things. I was approached by Amazon Prime Video to do a drink for Critical Role, and they wanted it to be it was around the holidays, it was around Thanksgiving, and they wanted it to be non-alcoholic. So I was like, okay, that was new because I don't normally make drinks without booze in them. But that's also been another way, like when I do make a cocktail, to think about how can you make this without the alcohol in it so that everybody can enjoy it. So yeah.
Nice. And in terms of recipes, I think last time we chatted, I think you said like chicken was like your specialty.
Yes, I do love a good roast chicken for a main, and I think cheesecake as a dessert is probably my favorite thing to make.
Yep.
Good reactions. Excellent, good reactions.
Love a cheesecake.
But yeah, other than that, I tend to be I grew up in the suburbs. Most of my food palette is American through and through, so I tend to be very basic and stuff. I can cook a lot more from other cultures now, but I tend to fall back on stuff that I grew up eating.
Nice. And I know as well you do a lot of like tabletop D&D stuff as well. Can we see you in anything soon, or are you planning on doing any of that on your stream?
You actually can tomorrow afternoon. No, wow, tomorrow evening. My schedule is an absolute nightmare. Tomorrow evening will be on DC Lasser's channel on Twitch. We'll be doing something called the Baker's Few, and it's for charity. It's benefiting Jasper's Game Day, which is an organization that helps basically helps from a mental health standpoint. And every Sunday, we are currently in season 12 of Rivals of Waterdeep. So you can catch me on Sundays on that show, which last season, wait, yes, no, yes. I don't even know time anymore. This is the hard thing. Last season, I was one of the DM Jazzy Hands. Eugenio Vargas and I co-DM'd that, and that was a lot of fun. That was a new experience for me. And coming up next month, I have a few more charity games that I'll be doing one-shot tabletop things for. I really, really enjoyed leaning into that. It's something that I don't have a gaming group here locally, but once we all sort of becoming virtual and all you have to do is turn on your camera to show up to a gaming session, I think doing the actual plays and streams were a lot of fun for me, and it was a great way to lean into it and kind of rediscover the hobby.
Do you do a lot of DMing, or do you tend to be whatever the opposite is, participant? I know very little.
No, I tend to be a player, super chaotic. Although since we do it on stream, it's kind of like everyone around the table, including the DM, is sort of a player, and it's it's a bit of improv. There's a rule system to support the improv and to support the world, but a lot of it is just trying to have fun because it's still streaming, and from that you're putting on a show. If you're playing D&D with your friends at home, you don't necessarily do the voices. You don't necessarily mug to the camera. You kind of roll your dice and you.
I would definitely do that.
Wow. Okay. See, Ed needs a group. Everyone. Ed now needs
full production.
Everyone needs a big group.
I keep meaning to do it, and what was I've been trying to rack my brain trying to think of it. What is the one that Cypher did on the front page? It was on the front page of Twitch. I think they're on the third season now. What's the name of the?
Oh, are you Into the Motherlands?
Yes, Into the Motherlands. That was it. Speaking of falling asleep with like ASMR, having that on, like, because it used to be on really, really late, and the amount of times I put that up on Twitch and just like relaxed and listened to it, that is, it was really nice. Really, really good to listen. If one's going to get me into it.
There's some great people to listen to on that as well. That's a fantastic cast. I've been fortunate enough that they've asked me to do the intro for them, to narrate their introduction. But yeah, I could absolutely see putting that on a little bit later on in the evening and just zoning out with Into the Motherlands. That would be amazing. Yeah. So yes, there's that. Tanya has also for charity run us through, if you remember the Untitled Goose Game, she homebrewed a setting that was the Abyssal Goose Chase. So it had us going to Avernus, D&D's version of Hell, and trying to vanquish a abyssal goose, which are they're gross to look. I mean, goose in general are terrifying. Abyssal geese are the worst. And we also recently did a kitten rescue. It was we essentially, our party, it's in Waterdeep, one of the settings in D&D, and we rescued a kitten. And it ended up with us going to a bookstore that's also a cat cafe, and it's like we definitely need to play that again because that was a lot of fun. I used to not do any tabletop, and now I'm doing tons of it. Like,
this is what's so cool about tabletop. I know very little about it, and my image of it is literally sort of D&D and that vibe. And yet there are so many other stories and things that you can get involved in, and I guess you can make it whatever you want it to be.
That's the fun of tabletop, is that the systems support the story you want to tell. But beyond that, I mean, so you can use Dungeons and Dragons, for example, you could do a hard, heavy combat. Don't worry about motives or morals or the story. You can just say, okay, we just want to roll dice and slash our way through a dungeon. That's great. Or they've been doing so many more settings now where you can go to a magic school, or you can decide to rescue kittens. You can do all of these different things in all of these different settings, and other tabletop systems are like that too. Into the Motherlands is this Afrofuturist sci-fi RPG, and the story is really what you're telling. It's just that when you want to do something or when you want to see how you impact the story, then you have these rules and these systems to support it. So if you're good at doing something, great. If you're bad at doing something, the rules can tell you that. But the type of story you can tell is incredible. I've played some really interesting ones they're very dice and paper free. It's a lot of just people sitting around and improving a story. I've done like one that's a whodunit, where there's a medium who's holding a seance, and the ghost comes back because the ghost has been haunting everybody, the participants, because one of you was responsible for the ghost's death. And over the course of the game, which is can be very dark, I admit it's probably one of the darkest themed games I've ever played. But you only know so much going in, so it's a bit like the How to Host a Murder Party. You don't necessarily know who did it unless you've been told just prior to the game that you're the one that killed them, and everything else is improv from then on, and taking a lot of notes and back and forth. So there really is like a world of possibility, and I know that D&D is people's first thing when they think about go to for tabletop, but there's a lot you can do out there. Even if D&D is what's most easy for you to play, there are a lot of tools that support it, but the kind of game you play is still up to you.
I've done quite a few murder mystery parties back at university with friends who studied drama, and we did musicals together.
Oh no,
Can you imagine?
No, and then we all got dressed up and improv'd and went all out. So I love a murder mystery.
I am a cozy mystery addict, so I just anytime. Who has them now? Is it ITV who has all the teleplays for all the Agatha Christie's?
Oh yeah,
I have the entire set of everything.
Midsomer
Poirot,
Murders.
Marple, like all of them. I've not gotten into Midsomer Murders. I only know it because every other British comedy show I watch makes fun of Midsomer at some point or another. I've never actually watched it.
It's just a nice, quiet little village, and then it's just constant murder. It's great.
You have to wonder why. I mean, are people allowed to leave? Is it like The Prisoner? Can they not leave this place where all these people end up continually dying?
I think that's why they get murdered.
Yeah. Yeah, why would anybody live there? Those house prices must be, maybe that's why, because they're just so low. It's like, well, 16 people have died in this house in the last 6 months.
So it's a motivated seller. Yeah.
Have you played the new Sherlock Holmes game?
I have not.
Plays a youth.
Some of those games, some of the games that are actual mystery video games, and this is the worst. I don't like mystery solving video games very much.
Okay, well, yeah.
Because they are too fiddly. They are very much like the old school click everything on the screen with everything else on the screen and try and put it together. And that to me starts to take it out of the immersion of it.
Yeah.
So yeah. And sometimes puzzles, I can't wrap my brain around them. So when a game starts throwing puzzles at me, I'm just like, I'm going to look for a guide online so I can get past this next part.
Yeah, I'm like that quite a lot. Yeah, the Sherlock Holmes game is actually pretty good if you like a mystery, because it's all 3D. It's a relatively new game. I played like the first couple of hours and actually wasn't terrible, but I didn't want to play it anymore.
No,
it wasn't that good.
They kind of take a bit of a hybrid visual novel feel to them.
Okay.
And so it is a bit of it's a lot of listening to the dialogue of the story, and then there's a bit of interactivity. And I remember playing a few different ones, and they were like that. I tried playing, there was even one, Agatha Christie, the ABC Murders, and I tried playing it, and it's awful knowing the story as the book goes, and then trying to play a game that is not trying to do the book word for word. So it's like, it's too dissonant to try and play that. But I am looking, I think a Game Pass game is out now called, oh goodness, Paradise Murder? Wait.
Paradise Killer.
Yes. And that has been suggested to me by a few people, and I'm absolutely going to give that one a look because
I've heard really good things about that. It's like, it's bright and colorful, and it's like an open world murder mystery. So, and I from what I understand as well, the ending is open-ended as well. So you can choose who you think the murderer is, but you can get it wrong, and you might not choose the right person. So yeah, it seems really, really interesting.
The Sexy Brutale is a good one as well.
Oh, I've heard about that one. Yes.
Just the name as well makes me want to play it.
Obviously.
Yeah. Sexy Brutale.
Sex in the title.
No, it's Sexy Brutale.
Wow.
Such a cool name though, isn't it?
Oh, everyone likes a bit of sex in the title.
Is that Australian?
I don't do accents. There's a reason I don't do accents. Especially not around Ben, who has literally the
worst
American accent I have ever heard in my entire life.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
We don't all come from Texas, okay? Oh my goodness. Every British show that got imported over from the 70s to the 90s, I really would watch them and think, do they really all think that we live in Texas? Is that the only accent they...
Yeah.
And then, of course, British actors started coming over here and being in movies and doing even more horrendous American accents, which they were insulting at how good they were. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm just mad.
I was watching some, oh God, it hasn't aged very well at all, but I was watching Frasier, and quite often they'll put a British person in there who is American, putting on like the most over the top British accent. It's like, yeah, it does not work. Although, yeah, now,
No.
but I can do a Canadian accent now.
Can you?
Hey, David, Alexis, that one.
Okay.
Pass the phone, David.
Just sounding like Captain O'Hara is not doing a Canadian accent.
Yeah, well, is it that
No.
Hey, Terence? That's the
you
only other
sound
one.
more like South Park than anything else.
I
Oh my goodness.
It was better than it used to, because before it was.
Oh my gosh.
Before it was, well, howdy there, E. That was the other one. But no, you have to choose.
So Texas with an E at the end.
Yeah, you just say A at the end, and that's a Canadian.
Oh, okay. That's yeah. No, I've had people who like I'm looking at voice acting audition type things, and they say, must be able to do a British accent, and I'm like, well, that's me out, because I would love to send it in, and I'd love to send it in and then have them laugh, but I typically don't do accents unless it is to get pure laughs, because the accent will never stay in the same region or anything. It'll start traveling from country to country. It's taking the train now to someplace else in Europe. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, when I started giving, sometimes with the Animal Crossing villagers, I gave them all unique accents, and sometimes there'll be ones where I'm like, this is really difficult to do. I kind of want that villager to go.
That's the worst, because getting rid of a villager because of the accent you gave them.
Yeah. Mind you, I did. But I can also wind people up, like Apollo, the bald eagle, which I actually got on July the 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
And I gave him a Russian accent, which upset quite a few people. Just trolling.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. That's, that is the chaotic content. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the fun of streaming, honestly.
You just want to troll.
Imagine that happening. Imagine that happening now.
Yeah, no.
Might not go over so well right now.
No, definitely not. No, luckily there isn't anybody on there with the Russian accent now.
It was of its time.
It was, exactly. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, before we go on to talk about what we've been playing recently, Brian, we always ask the streamers that join us, what is your favorite game?
That is a tough one. I would say the one I probably played the most off stream is Destiny. I've played it since the first game's beta, and I've played it all the way through, and it will be hard to put it down. There are very few games. A lot of games I've walked away from just because I just can't. Destiny, I always come back to it. It barely is down for a month or two before I've been able to pick it back up again. And again, I think the Assassin's Creed stories, because the new ones that they did, so starting with Origins and Odyssey, they told a really good story, and I hadn't been previously into that series at all before then, and I really enjoyed those. Beyond that, any kind of cute narrative game that there's a story, but I really like action RPGs, so I also like visual novels, but they're, when I stream them, there's a lot of reading. So I tend to play a lot of those off stream, because visual novels are really hard on streamers. If everybody could please make sure that when they're developing a visual novel and you like it, give them money so they can hire voice actors for every line. Please fund them. Fund those voice actors, because it's very difficult on stream, especially. Got to call in Ben to do accents for every other character. It's a mess.
I streamed oh god, what was it? The Doki Doki Literature Club, and someone was like, "Oh, it's only like 3 hours." No, it was.
Oh my goodness!
No, it was.
Oh no!
It was 8 hours. 8 hours of constant talking. I think I lost my voice by the end of it. Like I didn't even do a stream the following day that I was scheduled for. I was like, no, that just took it out of me.
I did one visual novel all the way through and I believe it was for charity. It was the I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a KFC dating simulator, which a lot of other people on Rainbow Arcade they played. And I did the whole thing. I feel like I didn't do accents. I may have, but even then, there was so much dialogue, and none of it was None of it was voiced. And yeah, I was definitely feeling it the next day.
Yeah, that is a very good, very, very good point though. Yeah. Please voice actors on visual novels. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Great for accessibility as well.
Also true.
All right. Well, should we go on to the games that we've been playing? We haven't had such a long intro in a long time.
We haven't.
Oops.
So
Ben, what has been splitting your time?
Oh, I like what you like how we do that. Well, my time has been split with mainly working, but I have played a little bit of Ghostwire Tokyo, which is a game on PS5 and Epic. I think is that an Epic? Yeah.
Yep.
It is a first-person kind of. It's not horror, but it's kind of very mystical, very kind of weird, kind of apocalyptic set in Tokyo. And it's very, very wet and it's very, very dark. And there's kind of shadows and yeah, it is wet. Everything is
You need to lean into the microphone when you say it's very wet.
Everything is
yeah.
moist, dripping.
There it is. There it is.
Brian can say that. Ben can.
Yeah. Everything has this shiny pus to it. It's just oozing everywhere.
Oh, goodness. That's not puss, really. Please. Can you not?
Well, I was going to, I nearly said something else, but it was, I stopped myself. Puss-like. Yeah, that's the word.
Oh, goodness. No, stop.
Why are you like this? It's funny. It looks gorgeous. But I mean, the story and the way it plays is kind of crap. I'm kind of rushing through it because the story doesn't really interest me, but I just kind of want to plow through, see where it goes, and enjoy it. It's you wake up and you were dead, and then you get brought to life by some mystical being that has decided to take its home inside you, and you gain some powers from it, and so you like wake up, but everybody else, pretty much every single other person in the game or in Tokyo has disappeared, and you kind of need to just find out what's happened to everybody. And it's got like these really cool moments. So as you're going through, it looks beautiful. It's all dark, neon, kind of Tokyo vibes, but also it has like a strange kind of weird, like it'll play with your mind a bit all psychedelic, in the way that Control does sometimes when you're walking through
That's
areas.
The one that I most heard it likened to is if you kind of like the play style and the supernatural aspect and horror style of Control, that Ghostwire is for you. It's
probably the same level of like scariness as well, like as Control. It has occasional moments, but it's very, very just down to the atmosphere. And I think that's why, Ed, you like it so much, was just the pure atmosphere of it, because the actual like the abilities that you have. So you get it's weird. Like one thing as well, I think the game would really benefit from is if it was in third person, because you just have your hands in front of you and you're doing these weird things with your hands, and then you're using orbs or whatever, or you've got fire or water, wind, all these elements that you're using as weapons that you still have to gain like ammo for, which I'm always running out of, and it gets quite frustrating. But and you can switch between them, but it looks cool, but I don't quite understand why it's a first person game, especially when you've got all these emotes and you've got the outfits and all this stuff. I don't understand when you don't even see your character.
I'm never a fan of that. I mean, I love Borderlands 100% across the board, but I've never understood why you give me all of these options to customize my character when I can only see my character if I'm in like my inventory screen.
Yeah, that's annoying. I mean, the reason it's first person is because there are lots of flashy hand movements. So you don't have like guns. You have like your hand as a gun, and you have to sort of purge spirits and stuff by doing weird hand movements and stuff. So if that was in third person, you wouldn't see any of that. Yeah. So that's why it's first person. But I take your point. I think it would be cool in third person. I mean, I've only been playing it the last couple of evenings. I think I'm enjoying it more than you are, Ben. I just absolutely love the atmosphere of it. It's not scary. That there are a couple of jump scares, but as much as it's sort of a horror game, it's not scary at all. But I think it's got a really amazing sort of ominous, creepy kind of vibe to it. It was basically the idea for the game came from, I just had to look up her name, Ikumi Nakamura, who was working for the studio, and she actually left after a year or so. She used to work for Platinum. She helped design Bayonetta. She was at E3 a couple of years ago, and everyone loved her. I think introducing this game, maybe. And she ended up leaving the studio, but it's clearly very much her idea for the game. There's actually a really good documentary that she did that's on YouTube, where she's talking about urban horror in Japan and like urban spaces, and she does a lot of photography and sort of derelict Japanese buildings, and this game really has that vibe to it. Like everyone's disappeared, so it's just like the world has just stopped and everyone's gone, like Thanos clicked his fingers, and so there's just like the world is sort of just half alive and not. There's vehicles, places just left there. There's clothing all around where people used to be and now they're not anymore. So it's got that really creepy, derelict sort of urban myth kind of vibe to it, which I just love. I think that's just like nothing else and really, really interesting. So I'm just completely soaking that up. But I will say I do think that the combat is a bit lame and just
that's sluggish, isn't it, as well? Like the moving, trying to attack people.
It's just a bit repetitive. Like the enemies, it just has the same enemies again and again. So there's not a lot of variety.
That's something I find in a lot of the more complex games, especially, you know, thinking about it now as a first person, they spend a lot of time in the atmosphere. They spend a lot of time setting the mood and setting the scene. And yeah, it really starts to feel like every fight in between main story bosses is really just, you don't need tactics unless the game is actively trying to overwhelm you with mobs. You can just kind of take things out the same way all the time. And that pulls you out of it immersion wise, I think, a little bit, because you really are like, okay, just get out of my way to the next fun story point. You know?
The one thing that annoys me, I think, a little bit more than anything else is the fact that everything is restricted by fog. So you can't venture too far away because there's a fog that's around you. And if you go into the fog, then you eventually die. And the way to expand that fog is to get to these Torii gates, kill some enemies near them, and then cleanse the Torii gate so that the fog disperses and you can go in like further. But the amount of space or the amount of the map that opens up for each Torii gate is just minuscule. Like it's literally like 2 streets, 3 streets at moments. It's like I don't understand why. Yeah, I feel like what I would love to do is if I had the time was just to go around and cleanse all those Torii gates. But I don't know how many is kind of tied into the story, because it's just like, it's very rare for an open world game to have something like that. Normally they're like, even like, for example, Elden Ring or Assassin's Creed, you can pretty much just go wherever you want. They're not holding you back. Whereas this game, it's like, no, you must focus. You must stay here. You must stay in
when
this
a game
area.
does that, like, are they basically trying to kind of guide you through at least? Because if it's an open world game, once the story's done, you still have the world. So sometimes the game has to say, look, we just need you to do this for the story, and then once it's done, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, it's open world, but it's very narrative driven. So I feel like they're trying to contain you in sort of bite-sized chunks as you go around the world, which I don't mind. I mean, clearly you hate that. I really enjoy. Give me one little area and I'll fully explore it, and then I'll go to the next one. And I'm doing all the side quests and I'm enjoying every little bit as I go.
But it's like, you need to get to this area, and I was like, okay, I'll just go down this street. Oh no, this street's got fog on it, whereas the other street parallel to it for some reason doesn't have fog, so I'm guessing it's forcing me to go down this street. It just feels quite, if it's an open world game, why is it being so restrictive of where I can go? And
that's the worst.
It's not fully open, because I mean I'm quite a few hours in. I'm on chapter 3, I think it is now, and it's not really opened up that much more either.
If I'm honest, I would love a really strict, linear, focused, narrative-driven horror game in that setting.
I would appreciate it more, yeah, if it was.
They've gone like open world, so it's like, oh, you've got the Torii gates that unlock the map, and then here are the upgrades you have to collect, and they've gone down the sort of open world route that I think really takes away the horror aspect of the game, despite it having a really cool atmosphere and setting. So they're not quite meshing for me.
Oh, one more thing is, actually, Ed, you want to take your headphones off for this, because it's a little spoiler.
Is it a spoiler?
A little spoiler.
Well, don't spoil it for everyone.
Oh,
wait, me?
No, I think Ed might want. Are you playing it?
I mean, I have it. I haven't played it yet, so should I also?
Oh, well, okay, well, it's not really. It is a little bit of a spoiler, but it's like
it's a spoiler, but it's not a spoiler. But I'm going to tell you
Well,
anyway.
it's not spoilers. So now,
it's
yeah,
not-
okay.
well,
there's no choice not to say it.
Okay.
No, there's not.
No,
that,
I have to say it. It's a trope of these games that they give you these really cool powers. You go through like a tutorial. You're starting to gain some more of the different powers, and just as you're getting the hang of it, they're like, "No, I'll take it away from you." And you're like,
Yes.
Oh, I knew that happens. Yeah.
okay, because I was like, why? I was just getting used to it.
It's in every game. That's in every game. Either they're forcing you to choose a different type of attack that you've done before, or they knew that you got too used to it. But I do agree with you. Any game that appears to be open world, especially one that's overlaid on a city, whether that map is real or not. There are other games like I've played that take place in New York and DC that very clearly mirror the system, but all of a sudden you just can't go that way. Like it's an entire map, and it's awful the one that took place in DC, because I'm like, okay, well, in my head, I know where that is in the real world, so I know exactly which way I'm going to go. And the game is all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, no, this way is blocked off for some reason. And I'm like, okay. So I think I agree with Ed that if there were initially a much more linear experience, and then afterwards the game said, okay, now that you've done that, like here's more of the world you can flesh out and continue, because I haven't played it yet. I have installed it. I don't know how much of the story is meant to be the end all be all, and if there really is going to be a good replayability factor, which a lot of those open world games, once the story is done and you've explored all you feel like exploring, like there's not a whole lot of reason to go back to them.
I mean, I've sounded quite negative talking about it, but I do want to finish it. I want to play to the end and see how it finishes, because I am enjoying it, but it's very much kind of a game I'll play. I'll just turn my brain off and I'll go and play it and follow the main story. I'm not bothering with the side stuff. Maybe if I do end up actually falling in love with the world and the story, then maybe I'll start doing some of the side stuff, but I don't find that really interesting enough. And apparently I read today that they were going to have quite a lot of NPCs in there, I think human NPCs, and they just got rid of them because apparently it would be too much.
Now
So
there are
it's interesting
cats
'cause, yeah.
instead.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm in.
Talking
You
cats.
know.
There
You
are
can-
talking cats,
Yeah.
and you can
Oh,
pet and
goodness.
feed the dog.
Well,
I don't need humans.
it's a given now. You can't not have any of that.
You can even
But that's
read their
interesting. I
minds.
wonder.
You can read the minds of cats. Does anybody really want to do that though?
Yes.
Wow, that was a very quick answer.
You know what?
I mean, I wonder, like, because you're going through it and not really, I assume that there are side things that you're not really paying that much attention to at the moment,
are.
Ben.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've ignored quite a few.
So
Maybe
I do,
shouldn't.
and that to me is also really fascinating, in that a lot of games love to throw a wall in front of you to say, like, you're really going to need to go do some of those other things to gain whatever to move forward. But the game is like, no, or save them or ignore them. That's a little more agency from the player, but it is a bit weird to have all this stuff just kind of lying around that it's like, do I have to do this? Nah.
That's what I really loved about Ghost of Tsushima. Okay, this is the main story and you can follow it, and this is chapter after chapter, but we also have these side stories, and it's not just side missions, but there's like these full side stories with chapters that you can go through, and it's separate, and maybe you can use them, and they do help you near the end if you do go play through them all, but it's very clear that they're like a side story and completely optional. Whereas some of these these side missions are very lazy. It's just fetch quests. Go here, kill a few of these for me. Go here, collect this.
Yeah. That doesn't really bring anything to the world. No. Okay.
No.
It sort of ties into the you're like helping spirits, so it's got a very spiritual vibe, and a lot of it's based on like Japanese folklore and things like that, which I really like as an idea, and I think that's really interesting. But in terms of gameplay and mechanics, it doesn't really do a lot with that, I will admit.
I mean, if it was set in DC, it would be trash. No offense.
Wow.
If it was set in somewhere, I mean, yeah, we've got the Division 2 for that.
I mean, yeah, if it's set in somewhere familiar to you, then the game, like I played, Watch Dogs Legion, and it had a really great overworld map. But honestly, I was like, if I were living in this place, I'd probably just be like in my head picking apart every little thing and every little way that they did it.
My university halls don't exist, apparently.
Well, most of Soho doesn't exist, which is the basically sort of gay quarter.
It did put up a map next to it, and I'm like, I feel like there seems like to be some choices made here, and Yeah.
But, Jigs, I was saying like the location of it being in Tokyo makes it really interesting, and especially with kind of like, it is very much the stereotypical kind of neon lights, and it's always dark, and it's kind of where and everything's reflective, and it's showing off the ray tracing, and that is a really cool part of it. But if it was anywhere else, if it was like a cold and rainy Manchester, I don't think it would be very
no one
interesting.
wants a video game in cold, rainy Manchester.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that.
Nobody needs it.
Brian, what have you been playing recently?
Recently, I have been playing Tunic. I've been trying to. My stream schedule lately has been a bit sporadic, but I've been playing Tunic. I've gotten started with that. A few other friends are playing it, so I sneak in their streams to see what they found, but I try to not watch too much of it because that's part of it. However, there's a bit of back channel conversation now about like, what have you found? Have you found this? And one friend, we sort of collectively twigged onto the fact that the glyphs are they're not really letters or words, but they're sort of like phonemes. They're more like sounds that are piecing together phrases. Although if you don't want to figure it out for yourself, somebody has already translated the entire glyph language in Tunic and come up. There's a web-based app now that you can go to use it. But yeah, I looked at a Reddit thread and someone's like, yeah, I've already translated it, which I'm like, well, okay then.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know that existed.
I mean, right, like 1980s me would have loved that stuff, but 2022 me is like, I don't have time for this. But I love it. I never was into the Zelda type games, so this is fun for me. I'm loving the secrets. I'm loving the style. I'm loving how cute it is, and honestly, how simple the gameplay is. Even though, the game is very purposefully vague and obtuse about stuff. It's like, but to get through it, you really just need to know a few different buttons. And I'm playing with no fail mode on, and stamina is not a problem. So, I've really figured out, like, I don't know how to beat something yet, but it can't kill me. So that's just for me nicely relaxing.
How far through it are you? Because I finished it earlier in the week, but I know Ben's playing it as well. So I don't want to I want to talk about it.
I'm not far along. If it has bosses in it, because I do refer to it very much as like cute souls. So if it's got bosses, I have not encountered one yet. I have gotten utterly lost because I ended up just seeing a direction and going down and I'm like, okay, where am I? And then later on, I think about 30 minutes later, when I came back to where I was familiar with, I ended up finding the page of the manual that had the map of where I was. And I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, just by going off of something, I'm like, oh, is there a door behind here? Which look behind everything in Tunic, because there will always be something there. I had no idea where I was, but it was a lot of fun, and just overall the feel of the game is very, very soothing and comfortable. Even when you're fighting and getting your butt kicked, it's like you have the dappling of the sun rays through the trees, and the atmospheric when you're underground or when you're in a wall. It's just a gorgeous game that it's hard not to play it off stream, but so many other people have played through it off stream that I think I could probably do that and catch up with folks maybe a little bit.
The music is amazing as well. I love music.
It's just gorgeous.
Apparently the music is available like as a separate download on Steam, and it has something like 60 tracks or something like that. Someone was telling me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smaller studios have really been like absolutely coming through with, I'm always like, do I buy the game? And then I'm like, do I buy the game plus the soundtrack? Because it's usually not that much more. And yeah, then I've never been a big listener of video game music in my life, but a lot of these newer games, I'm like, can I just throw that on in the background?
Yeah,
because it's fun.
Yeah.
The thing with Tunic, I found, and I'm not going to say anything about the end or spoiling anything, but it's the kind of game where the solution is always right there, and you just didn't see it. So it's things like the way that you collect the pages of the manual. It explains things that you're like, oh, of course that's what that means. And why did I not realize that until I saw it? Or you go down one thing and then you come out and you come out of a path that was there all along. And you're like, well, why didn't I see that path hidden behind a tree? And you emerge from a sort of dungeony area, and it's really obvious where you've just been. And you're like, oh, why didn't I see that? So there's a lot of that going on. And yeah, I guess the answers are always right in front of you.
Which is just rude, honestly.
Yeah. Because it makes you feel really thick when you get.
It's like, oh yeah, you're I think everybody like blew themselves up with a bomb the first time, and eventually you find the manual. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. And it is one of those things where it encourages you to try stuff and figure things out. But yeah, I'm really chasing down those manual pages because also it's just everything, the attention to care. I think someone has said this game is like a love letter to that era of games, and it really is. It really just like flipping through the manual feels like old school gaming. The way the game does the sort of CRT monitor when you come into the manual and move around. It's everything about it is just a lovely experience.
It's that thing of when you went to the shop to buy a game and then on the way home you'd be like sat looking at the manual, reading about it, and like analyzing everything, trying to work out what the game's about before you get home to play it. And they've turned that into a gameplay mechanic where you have to really analyze the manual to work out how to play the game as you're playing it. I love that as a game mechanic. I just think that's so smart.
I'm about an hour in, and it's very cute. I like it. I faced a boss of sorts. I don't think it was a boss. It was just to ring the first bell. You had to face a guy that was a bit tougher. And then I just stuck on the invincibility mode. I was like, okay, he's about to kill me, so stick that on. Finished him, and then I turned the invincibility mode like off once I'd killed him. So there's a little bit of a challenge, but I'm enjoying it. It's not like really my type of game particularly, but I'll it's something to bring up and just play for 20 minutes or something. It's not something that you really have to kind of like. I'm also playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and that is not a game to pick up for 15 minutes because that's a cutscene sometimes. So yeah. And I mean, when I get round to this game, which I still haven't opened, Project Triangle Strategy, that's a game I'm going to need like 6 hours, I think, each time I play this. Yeah, what do you think of Tunic, Ed? Anything extra to add?
I mean, I really want to talk about it, but I also don't want to spoil it because there is so much that I think you just have to discover for yourself. And it's just, there are so many layers to the game. So hearing you both say like, oh, it's really relaxing and this is what you get at the start, and I'm like,
oh yeah, no, I heard you.
No, I said it's cute souls. It is 100% cute souls. I know. I've seen one of my stream teammates do a boss battle, and I was like, oh, those are coming down the pipe later on. Oh, okay. So I have seen that coming, but yeah, everything else. I think the thing is, you don't need to translate the game's like hidden language to play. You don't need to really know what's in the manual because you can figure things out for yourself. And yeah, my number one thing right now is I need a map in games, and I get lost everywhere. So my problem is figuring out how to get back to where I've gotten to, and I don't know if I'm going to unlock fast travel or at least teleport points or not. And I really hope I do, because I am 100% lost. I'm not. I could walk back and forth between 2 different screens 5 times and have no idea that I'd just been there. So
I'm saying nothing because I
saw your face.
I really don't want to spoil anything.
I saw your face.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's definitely not. After watching Ed play it, after watching Ed play it, I know that it is not very relaxing. I think you played the whole last level on invincibility mode, didn't you, Ed?
Yeah, at the end, I put invincibility mode on, and I mean, there was one bit that was particularly difficult.
You were getting very angry, Ed.
Yeah. I got very angry. But for me, it's the kind of game that I don't mind the challenge of it, but I'm not playing this for challenging combat. I'm playing this game because I like the puzzles and I'm interested in the world and the Fox character and what's going on and interpreting it and going through the manual and working out bits of what this means and analyzing it. That's what I'm interested in. And if I'm just getting destroyed by a really easy enemy or a normal enemy at the end that's just stupidly hard, then I can't be bothered. Just put the invincibility mode on. Like, I'm playing this for puzzles.
Yeah.
And at the end, it is very puzzle based. There are lots of layers to the games in terms of it gets quite meta. I mean, even the manual idea is very meta. And it's very much a kind of game within a game kind of thing.
Okay. It's more to look forward to.
That's what I'll say.
I have to like pick my time between games right now, and I tried to do one fun offline game, but now I'm like, I really got to get back to Tunic. I've got to start Ghostwire, and I've got to hurry up and at least get a good number of those hours under my belt before the next new thing comes in.
Do you know what the next big thing is?
It's
Kirby.
Well, Kirby's out.
Yeah.
There's not a huge amount out this coming month, April. I think Chrono Cross is out, and there's also Nintendo Switch Sports at the end of the month.
Can't wait for that.
On the 29th. But then there's honestly not very much that's out for a good 3 months that's really worth it. So we've had a couple of really, really, really busy months with some amazing games. And I think we're going to have a bit of a lull now until like September.
Thank goodness. Can catch up on a few now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I won't. I'll just play Destiny and all the games.
I mean, honestly, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. The other ones just get left. Been playing anything else, Brian or Ed?
No, I just started up the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands last night.
Ooh,
and immediately, of course, I was like, oh, it's bedtime. And then 2 hours later, I actually put it down. So I'm enjoying it. It's a little bit different than the others in the series in terms of control, but I'm playing it on PS5, which I've never played. I've never played a Borderlands game on PS5 before. But I'm enjoying it. It's got what you really wanted from the title. It's got the nice jokes. It's got the good writing. I'm sure it has jokes that will be like with all Borderlands games. It has jokes that will be stale a year from now, and they won't make any sense. But for now, it's fun.
I've heard.
How are you finding the TTRPG elements of it?
There's definitely a love letter to TTRPGs in it. I haven't seen any. Admittedly, I don't always know like the deep dive references, so I'm sure I'll watch a YouTube video that will tell me there are 385 of them or something, whatever. But it's done a good job of incorporating that. It opens with talking about clearly like a D&D style campaign. When they do the cutscenes to show enemies or to show heroes now, Tiny Tina will put a figurine on the table, a mini, and then it will cut to a page, like an actual book page with that character and little things that they like. So they're doing a good job of keeping that in play. And even the map that you use is very clearly like what you would set up for your friends if you were setting up terrain and minis on your table. So it does feel like you are playing a Borderlands game that is inside of a TTRPG campaign. And they don't even make too much reference to other games in it. Like it's really, I don't know if that's a choice or not, but there's been really no reference yet to the previous games in the series in terms of, Pandora, Vault Hunters, things like that.
I have a code for that. I'm going to definitely play it a little bit. Aren't the antagonists influencers? Social media influencers?
That's the Borderlands. That's the most recent Borderlands. So that's 3.
Oh, I thought it was Tiny Tina's had some.
Possibly.
Okay.
So I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
But I think that the influencers are in 3.
Okay.
That's how it was definitely a dig at all of us lovely people who bring you content. It was really thanks for that game. But no, I haven't gotten too far into it. I would say I've now played for maybe like 3 hours. But I tend to play at a slow pace because I get very distracted.
Oh, interesting. And good old Randy Pitchford. Is he still the head of?
God, I hope not. God, he can die in a ditch.
Did you ever see about his argument or his argument that he got into on Twitter with somebody called Big Dick Daddy Dom? Apparently, he's having.
I didn't, but that's 100% appropriate.
Yeah.
The one time that I saw who this person was, and it made me mad because I'm like, he's been behind this like a head person in a studio that's like really given me a lot of joy over time. I think they were going to be showing off the new Borderlands at a convention, and there were tech issues. And he just made this really derisive comment about like the techs who were working furiously to get this working, and even the people in the room with him booed him. Like, how did this? Like, just take the L and work through it, and it's gonna be fine in a minute. But it was just like, okay, you're kind of an asshole.
He's
and
and about the USB thing. he left a USB stick in medieval times, and someone went on it, and there was all sorts of stuff, including pornography of somebody who was apparently legal but looked very, very young and was dressed in like, I don't want to go over it in case I don't get the facts completely right, but people they reported it to the police, but I don't think anything happened because the person was legal, but it was very, very kind of on the limit and very shady.
I mean, okay, I have a journalist here with me. How does anyone leave a USB thumb drive anywhere? I don't think I've ever dropped one or once fallen out of my the only I just have no idea. Like that only happens in spy movies. What the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like in the bottom of a bag and you're rummaging, like maybe, but not just like, I'll just leave that there on the side.
By the way, Randy Pitchford corroborates some of the story's detail by appearing on a podcast that went live. He talks at length about porn and that he enjoys watching, including camgirl pornography, in which a host exposes themselves, blah, blah, blah. And then he said that the porn on the memory stick was actually somebody faking an act of well, I won't describe that, but apparently he was watching it for the magic trick.
This person really needs a handler. I of all of the reasons that I have ever been caught watching or having pornography, watching it for the magic trick. I got to use that one later on. I got to use that. Yeah.
What's the magic trick? I mean, what's disappearing here?
Well, I'll read it.
I mean, do you need to, I mean, honestly, it's.
No, this is Ars Technica, so it's coming from a reputable source, Ars Technica. They said he confirmed that he copied a specific video to this memory stick too, as he describes it, to work out the method of how a camgirl host had faked the act of female ejaculation. And then he said, I realize this is not a sex worker. He said, this is a fucking magician. And that's why he saved it.
You could have actually just emailed any studio and they would have told you, I'll be honest. Like, they don't hide that stuff. I have nothing wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong with watching porn, but, just own up to it.
Exactly. Own up to it. Don't be like, just do it for the magic. For the story. I want to see how it ended.
I don't think you understand what porn is for then, Randy. I just gotta tell you.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the fantasy. Don't dissect the magic.
Some really fucked up kids' parties.
It's one thing if you're watching the porn studios take on like superhero movies, because honestly, sometimes their costumes and makeup are way better than the ones in movies. That I can understand. That much I get, but otherwise, not the magic. Okay, sure.
Wow. But yeah, that's Randy Pitchford. Literally, if you Google his name, you'll find just articles and articles and articles of what a very strange man he is, to put it lightly.
Also, don't Google anything.
No.
Yeah, please don't. No.
Especially Randy Pitchford. All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
games.
Games. Yes, they're the games.
Games. Yes, games.
Yeah. But yeah, Tiny Tina's. I'm sure I'll play a bit in the next week and we can talk about that. Should we go on to the news now? Now, Brian, how long are you wanting to stick around for? Because I know you're.
I've got more wiggle room now. As I said, my schedule's a nightmare, but I've got another 15, 20 minutes. So
awesome.
Yeah, I can sit here and stare at you all reading the news.
This is Ed's.
I don't know. Every time someone does gaming news, I've already said, I'm very bad at following things. So it's always fun for me to also be like, what's going on? Oh, what? Okay.
Well, this is great because then we can see your live reaction to these things. This is great.
Exactly. Here we go.
It'll be a genuine reaction.
There has been some big news this week, so it's a big week for news. The biggest news of the week is that Sony are overhauling their PS Plus service. Now, people thought this was going to be their sort of Game Pass equivalent. It kind of isn't. It's the equivalent in that it's their equivalent service, but it's not doing the same thing at all. It's coming in June. Essentially, all they've done is they've taken PS Plus and they've taken PS Now, which is their streaming thing, and Don't put that link in chat.
I know you all. I know you're all going to read it. I know you're all going to read it. Curiosity's going to get you.
They've taken PS Plus and PS Now and they've put them together into one service. What's confusing about this, I think personally, is that there are 3 different tiers as to what you get in each thing.
Oh,
There's
no.
4 tiers, actually, technically.
Are there?
Because there's the one for people where streaming isn't allowed, or where the PlayStation Now isn't there. So they've got like something called like some kind of plus.
True.
It's got like a weird. Oh, it's
True.
It's so
Oh,
confusing.
dear.
Yeah, certain countries, I think that they haven't activated the cloud streaming.
Yeah,
So they're giving them something else instead.
weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in theory, there are three tiers. There's PlayStation Plus Essential, which is essentially the same as PlayStation Plus Now. So
And same price.
you get same price. You get some downloadable games. You get access to multiplayer. You get cloud storage and some discounts. Fine, same thing, and at same price, which is in the UK at least £6.99 a month, or 50 quid a year. The second is PlayStation Plus Extra, which gives you that. Plus, you get a catalogue of 400 PS4 and PS5 games to download.
Mm-hmm.
And that is $10.99 a month or $83.99 a year. But what that doesn't include are brand new PlayStation games. So it's not like Xbox, where Xbox gives you like day one, their brand new games available as part of the subscription. For PlayStation, you still, God of War Ragnarok, when that comes out at the end of the year, supposedly, you'll have to pay £70 to buy it.
Yeah.
They might add it to the subscription service in a year or two, maybe. But for now, it's going to be you have to buy it. So there are PS4 and PS5 games to download, but what they are, we don't yet know.
I mean, when Horizon comes out and it sells 20 million copies, there's no reason for them to put it on a subscription model at the moment, anyway.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they know where their money is. I mean, they're a company. They just want to make as much money, and it's. Yeah.
They have said that at launch in June, as part of these games, there will be Death Stranding, your favorite,
best game of all time,
God of War, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. Of which
Very
Returnal
smart.
I think is the most interesting because that came out a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the most recent game that is being included. So it's kind of like, well, does that mean that a year is kind of the cutoff before it gets added, or is that just because it's Returnal and it's not like the biggest game? I don't know. And then on top of that, there is PlayStation Plus Premium, which is $13.49 a month or 100 quid for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that basically adds in an extra 340 games, which are PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. So you're basically getting a load of like classics to play.
And I heard that like the people at Sony, they were really like stunned and appalled by this news, and even PlayStation Plus was in tears.
That is the worst joke I've ever heard.
I'm out. I can't. I'm done.
Thank you.
Like,
I need a fan.
really, I was with you on that setup, and I'm mad about it. I hate this so much.
It's not even my own joke as well, just to make it even worse.
I know. I also saw that on Twitter before.
It was
Awful.
brilliant.
Oh my god, appropriating stuff. Who are you? The British Museum?
Oh.
Well, we're doing that next Saturday, actually, aren't we, Ed? On Saturday.
Take as much shit as you can.
Yeah. Just give it back. Oh, dear.
So anyway, I don't know if anyone is planning on paying for this subscription. It's clearly not as good as Game Pass in terms of its value. We don't know yet what these like classic games are. For me, this seems more like Nintendo Online in terms of you're getting access to old games more than it is Game Pass. Third-party games are also included in this. Maybe they might come on earlier. If not day one, then maybe earlier. Hopefully there'll be some good indie games as part of this, so it's not just here's a load of PlayStation stuff. But it's coming in June. It was heavily rumored, and now we know the details.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So there.
I mean, I don't mind it because if you want exactly what you've got now, there's no price increase, there's no changes like now. Like everything that they've offered is on top of what you've already got. So I do appreciate that. And I know I'll get it, and I'll have this idea that I'm going to play a load of PS1 and PS2 games, of be all nostalgic, and I know I just won't. But I'll still pay for it. Because,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sucker.
Yeah, completely.
Oh, and I'm really, really annoyed as well because they're upgrading people from PlayStation Now to people who've got like a subscription to PlayStation Now. They'll transfer it to like the premium one, and like it was available at the time when they announced it. You could buy a 12-month subscription to PlayStation Now and then get the upgrade, and they removed it. I went to buy it and they just removed it. I'm so annoyed. Otherwise, you could have got it for free, like half price for a year.
Shocking.
Annoyed. I wanted to scam it.
Oh.
The other big news of the week, in very sad news, is that Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed.
Oh my god!
It was meant to be 2022, and everyone thought it was going to be the end of the year.
No, not everyone.
It's now spring 2023.
I'll be
sad. I'm upset.
Are you about to are you going to open an envelope with a prediction inside of it, Ben? Is that what's happening right now?
I'd just like to refer to a previous podcast where I think as soon as it said then, I was like, that's not going to come out this year. But this will be the only time that I say I knew it. And I said it.
I didn't think that was going to happen. I mean, I believed that the delay was coming. And yeah, I know somebody who works on a contractor to Nintendo, and they were like, yeah, everyone was not really surprised, but horribly disappointed.
I mean, there's the Pokemon game still. I mean, that's alleged. That's also apparently coming out at the end of this year. So yeah, I would be surprised if a Pokemon and Zelda game came out at the same time. But then, will that Pokemon also get delayed? Because that's such a quick like release after Arceus.
I don't know. Hearing the games are delayed, especially right now, I weirdly enough just talked about this on a podcast recently about like how everyone's reaction to games being delayed or those dates honestly not being set in stone. It's like everyone just kind of needs to relax. It's disappointing if I've now had somebody send me a calendar, like a spreadsheet of game releases. So I could see knowing those planned releases and saying, okay, I can do this game. And then by the time I'm done, this game will be out. But honestly, it's like, do you want the game to come out or not? Eventually it will.
Exactly. Eventually, when I kind of just get excited about games a month before they come out. And still then sometimes I get a bit
It's
burned,
so much easier.
Yeah, it really
so
is.
much easier to worry about. I mean, save your money ahead of time. But yeah, trying to anticipate a game, you get that heartbreak and disappointment multiple times before the game comes out, if it ever does.
Moniz just said, don't they release a Zelda game every year? What does that mean for this year? They do not, Moni. They might alternate with sort of handheld games or some handheld games and home console games. But with this delay, that means I think it's 6 years between Zelda games, or it will be 6 years between Zelda games, which is the longest that they've ever gone between two home console Zelda games.
And people are like, the new one, it's going to use the same assets and stuff and engine as Breath of the Wild, so they can do it really quickly.
No.
I don't think anyone who says that understands how games work, but okay.
Especially, and also, if they've looked at the world lately, they can see that, there are reasons why things have been delayed.
Yeah. So it was announced in a video by AJ Aonuma, who, can I just say, is looking really hot at the moment. Just throwing that out there.
Hold on, I gotta go Google this person.
Genuinely, I was like, please keep announcing things.
Keep delaying it.
No, do not keep delaying it. But it was, so the delay was announced, and essentially it's because of gameplay changes that they're making. See, I see that face from Brian.
Okay, I'm like, oh, all right, okay.
Yeah. He's been very sharp in the suit.
I don't know. Whatever. Continue. What are we doing here? It's fine. What's going on? Yeah,
just because you both got the same glasses.
Wow.
But is he right?
Wow. They are making sort of gameplay changes and expanding the world. I'm still hopeful that means that playable Zelda is coming. We can but hope. And they did have a very, very small bit of new footage, which was Link holding the Master Sword, but it was broken, which now means that there are tons of theories as to what this means in the game. What are we going to be doing? Is the game going to be rebuilding the sword? Is Fi or Fi, whatever they're called, is she back? What does it mean? So literally about 3 seconds has sparked theories.
Yeah, there's 30-minute videos, YouTube video series.
Oh, that's the best though. I love, like, they've been waiting for that forever to yeah, like one splash of color in one trailer somewhere, and it's a 45-minute YouTube video, and I'm like, oh, let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first bit of new footage we've had as well since last June. So it has been a while, but it shows like the tiniest little thing. People really pop off.
There's a reason that they showed us this. What does it mean? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Sonic news. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the film, is out tomorrow.
However,
we went to see it, didn't we, Ben?
we did. Oh, it was great.
You enjoyed it?
I really enjoyed it. So I watched the first one on like the Friday before, so just a couple of days before, expecting to hate it because everyone's like, well, Sonic and Detective Pikachu kind of came out at the same time, and Detective Pikachu was like an example of how to do it really well, and Sonic, I heard, was like an example of just crap. And I watched it and I was like, well, this is actually really entertaining. Like, it's not going to win any Oscars, but it's an entertaining movie. And then the second one came out, and we watched that in the IMAX at Leicester Square. Felt like a celebrity. And although not enough to get a picture taken with Sonic, they're like, no, that's for the celebrities.
That was very disappointing. Sonic,
Not even the press.
No.
Wow.
I know.
No, they were like, oh, sorry, this is barriered. You can take a picture from a distance, but you can't go and get a picture. Only the VIPs that have paid however much.
Yeah. So yeah, we went there, watched it, and I mean, I thought it was fantastic. It was better than the original, but I know that there's a review on coming out. Is it tomorrow, Ed?
I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, you can read that.
Can you give a little hint, a little sneak preview?
I mean, the embargo was Tuesday, so we're Monday, so we're way behind. It's been a busy week. I mean, look, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. What I particularly liked about it is that they added in a lot of Sonic references. So the first film is Sonic on Earth, and now they're bringing in a lot of more of the Sonic universe into this setup. So there are loads of references to the games, the different zones. There's a coffee shop called Mean Bean, which is Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine, the old Mega Drive game. There's a whole sequence set in an underwater labyrinth.
There's a Mega Drive manual, or it wasn't called a Mega Drive in the US, was it? Genesis?
A Genesis.
That's the one,
yeah. Really?
Wow.
I was about to feel bad because I have to go, but after that, I'm just like, wow.
Walk out.
Wow.
Do it.
Storm out.
Just storm out.
Mic drop.
Can't, because I'm a streamer, so you know that I'm not wearing pants. So, like,
true.
I can't just
Yeah. Well, thank you, by the way, so much for joining. And yeah, we went way over the time that we thought that we normally do, so I really appreciate it.
Yes.
But before you go, where can we find you?
Oh, well, you can find me everywhere online at Urbanbohemian. I stream 3 days a week at twitch.tv/Urbanbohemian. And you can find me Sundays on twitch.tv/Rivals of Waterdeep. We are in our 12th season of an actual play. 12th season. Wow. Of an actual play D&D show. And that's going great. And I would say the best thing is catch me on Twitter, because I've got a few things coming up, a few tabletop games for charity and my own streams. And that's the best way to track me down. Follow me, but don't make it weird.
Follow me, but don't make it. Yeah. Follow me, but don't make it weird. Yeah. What a great tagline. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll let you.
If I leave the call, what's going to happen? Is it going to break everything, or?
No, I mean, it will a little bit, but don't worry. I can fix that. All right. There we go.
This is what happens. You're a streamer. You can do it on the fly.
Exactly. Yeah. No one comes here for professionalism anyway.
Ugh.
I know. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Please come on again soon.
Yes.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Right, let me go. And there we go. Okay, we get little Ed. Oh, you get me twice. There we go. There's Ed there. So Ed, Sonic.
Yes. So
as I try and
it's full of references.
Yeah.
Which is great. But in the news, the producer or one of the producers of the film has said that this is basically part of a cinematic universe. So they have already confirmed that a third film is coming. And on that, as you know as well, Ben, if you're going to go and see it, stay till the end of the credits.
Yes. Because you will want to.
Yes.
And then you can be like, oh yes, there is going to be a third film.
Yes, you'll know exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are building basically a cinematic universe. Apparently, there's also going to be a Knuckles TV show. And they're also saying that it's not, the films aren't following the same order as the games, which again, for you and I that have seen the films is kind of obvious, but it's not that this second film is Sonic 2 of the games. If anything, it's sort of Sonic 3 and Knuckles more than anything. But they are very much cherry picking from throughout the series to make all these different films and put things together. Yeah. So yeah, they're not following the order, and it means that anything and everything could happen in this cinematic universe.
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, and also there's apparently this year we are scheduled to have like a Sonic collection being released called Sonic. Do you remember the name of it?
No.
It was Sonic 1, 2, 3D, and another one as well. I can't remember. But yeah, that's due out this year. But it was like announced, and then we've heard nothing. So I'm wondering if they're going to release that soon, because it's just kind of pumping our ears and eyes with Sonic.
Well, their other big game is Sonic Frontiers, which is the big, looks like open world thing. Yeah. But I think that's probably a way off yet.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. But yeah, Sonic 22 collection. Yeah, because a lot of people have just been like, where's the update? It's called Sonic Origins.
There you go.
Origins. And it is a compilation of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic the Hedgehog CD.
All the best ones.
Yeah.
Have you played any of them, Ben?
I have. Yeah, I played a little. Of my friends. I played it over at my friend's house because they had all of them. The only Sonic I've really played was Mania. I enjoyed that. Good game.
See, those games in that package is my childhood. That was me from the age of about 6 till 11, or maybe 7 till 11.
Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3. That was my childhood. I was a PlayStation boy. Tomb Raider 2. Ooh, I hope that's on the new subscription model.
Is that worth £100 a year?
Yes. Nostalgia. Make me feel old. This game was a lot better. It looked a lot better when I played it when I was a kid.
Yeah, probably played better as well. So, as we mentioned earlier, a certain Kirby game came out last year.
Last year?
And last week. Last week, sorry. And it was the biggest UK physical launch in series history. So Kirby games are traditionally not as popular as Mario or Zelda, but ultimately this seems to be selling really, really well. By the launch sales alone, it's already the 5th biggest Kirby game in the UK ever.
Without Googling, how tall is Kirby?
Have you just Googled this to find out?
No, I heard it on another podcast.
Other podcasts exist?
Yes.
How tall is Kirby? I think chat need to throw out some options here as well. Yeah, I was going to say 50 centimeters as well, like half a meter.
It's your favorite 8 inches. Apparently so. Perfect size.
Please don't say my favorite. That is not true.
Mind you, an 8-inch chode, that's what it would be, and that's like, no.
Well, it's more like an 8-inch bollock. An 8-inch hairless bollock.
Kirby, the 8-inch hairless bollock. That's what he is. Oh. Well. Anyway, yeah.
Enough on Kirby. But also Nintendo news. There was a new trailer that came out overnight for Nintendo Switch Sports, which shows off some gameplay. It shows that Miis are playable in the game, so you don't have to use the weird new characters. You can use Miis, which is nice. But yeah,
can I use my Mii?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's got 3 new games: volleyball, badminton, and soccer. Soccer essentially being Rocket League with people, not cars.
Football to most people.
Yes. And then there is, I think it's Chamber, it's called, tennis and bowling. I am very excited about tennis. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
And the bowling, as the playtest that we definitely didn't play, but may have played, but didn't play, and we can't say.
I played.
There you go.
Sue me.
Is that it has a battle royale style mode called survival bowling. So it's 16 players, and then it slowly whittles it down to the winner, which is quite fun to play online.
That's what I played. I came 3rd.
There you go.
On my first go.
And also, all the games can be played in local multiplayer or online. It has split screen on it as well. So
we're going to do some.
I think this is something that we should play on stream.
Yes. In person.
We should play some badminton.
Yeah.
Some tennis.
In person.
We can have a bowling tournament.
I'll use my gimbal and we can record it.
You're obsessed with the gimbal.
That's like the name.
It's coming out on the 29th of April for anyone who wants to buy that.
Yes.
Fortnite. Epic. Well, firstly, they took out building for like a week, and now they've added in a new mode that is 0 build mode. So if you're not interested in building, you can just go and shoot people, which honestly I am all for.
Yeah, apparently it's really good as well. People have started playing it and being like, "This is great." Like, although then you've got to be like, "Oh shit, no, actually, it wasn't necessarily the building. I just can't shoot." So, yeah, there's people realizing that actually, yeah,
I don't need the complication of building. I just want to shoot people.
Yeah,
it's much easier.
No longer do you shoot somebody and then they morph into this 4-story high castle mansion with turrets and stuff.
Nowhere.
Yeah,
I don't need that.
Exactly.
But in other Fortnite news, Epic are donating money from the last 2 weeks up until this coming Sunday. They are donating any money raised through the game to humanitarian efforts in Ukraine. And I think after only about 4 or 5 days, they had raised $50 million. A couple of days ago, they got to 70 million. And then today they announced that it was $100 million that they've raised, which I think makes it like one of the biggest, if not the biggest donation to humanitarian efforts in Ukraine, which also is great.
Shows how much money they make on Fortnite as well.
Also true.
But also the Ukraine bundle that was from Humble Bundle, where the money raised went to help the humanitarian effort in Ukraine. That I think only raised 20 million. I mean, it just shows how much money.
Huge,
I mean, it is, but it shows how much money the like Epic are making from it.
Yeah, exactly. Through passes, through skins, emotes, everything else. It's a lot of money.
It is.
But for a worthy cause.
Yes.
And the final news piece for this week in strange news is that Bill Clinton has been added to Guilty Gear Strive.
I don't know what Guilty Gear is.
So Guilty Gear is a Japanese 2D fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
The first Guilty Gear game came out in 1998. I'm not sure what platform, I'm guessing PlayStation. And in 1999, when Bill Clinton was still president, he gave a speech that was condemning violence in video games, specifically violent messaging in ads. And he held up a load of ads as examples. and talked about violent slogans. And one of them was from Guilty Gear, which had the slogan "Kill your friends, guilt-free." And he held this up as an example. And actually, fans of the game at the time were kind of honored by it, because it was the first game in the series. But even now, it's quite a niche series. It's got a sort of cult following. It's very Japanese. It's not quite Street Fighter global success. It's popular, but it's not quite up there. And so people were really honored by it and were like, isn't it amazing that the president of the US has acknowledged that our game exists? So the most recent game in the series is Guilty Gear Strive, which came out a while ago, but they've just done an update to it, which includes a digital figure mode, which essentially is like a photo mode, and you can create scenes with the characters and backdrops and things like that.
Gran Turismo's got that.
Great. Well done. There's also a new stage in the game that's called White House Reborn. And so what people have done is gone into this like photo mode thing, and they've gone into the background, and on the wall is a picture that is a portrait of Bill Clinton.
Brilliant.
As a little nod to his acknowledgement all the way back in 1999. So there you go. In weird news for the week.
Oh, we do have some breaking news, though, that was just before the podcast started. E3 Digital 2022 has been cancelled, and within the time that we have been streaming, Jeff Keighley has announced that Summer Game Fest will be taking part in June 2022, saying, and he says, I'm excited to share that Summer Game Fest will return this June with a slate of events. We'll be producing another kickoff live show with announcements, news, and first looks. Much more to share in the coming weeks, along with some very cool new elements for 22.
And I'm pretty sure he's Canadian, but sure.
Yeah, excited to share that Summer Game Fest.
No, don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Yeah. So, but also, if you go to summergamefest.com, you can sign up and be the first to know details.
So there we go. I'm not massively surprised by the E3 news. I mean, it was digital last year and it was pointless. At the end of the day, all the publishers now will do, Nintendo have the Direct, PlayStation have their, whatever they're called. All the publishers are just going to do a big showcase like they did last year online. We don't need an E3 event. It doesn't need to come under the umbrella of E3. That's meaningless nowadays.
Yeah, E3 was already turning into some kind of just like a giant promotional showcase, and this has just been like, this is exactly what it is. It's the gaming awards, but without awards. And I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm sure it'll be great.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
and that
also
was the headlines.
Well, one more as well.
Oh, there's more?
Well, did you do any sleuthing in that website that I sent you?
What website was that?
The one about 35?
Oh, well, we don't know anything about that yet. But yes, there is a Metal Gear 35 or 35th anniversary website that has gone live that has absolutely nothing on it apart from a logo. So it looks like it is officially Konami. So who knows? Could they be re-releasing something or remastering something, or
just release a collection on a PS5? I would buy it and I'll probably play through it, because I've not recently, but just 2 or 3 years ago, I played through Metal Gear Solid 1 and enjoyed it. But I would love to do it again and like really pay attention to the story a bit more. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to play a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, of which that one already exists, which is how I first played it, which is the Twin Snakes on GameCube.
Ooh.
Which is where they basically remade Metal Gear Solid 1 in the Metal Gear Solid 2 engine and released that, which meant that you could look and move around in first person. It was very cool.
Oh, interesting. Anyway, what's been splitting opinions this week?
Well, it's been splitting opinions for the last couple of weeks, but we were not here last week. But what was released recently were the new DLC tracks in Mario Kart.
Mm.
So we thought we would go through and talk about what we like and what we don't like, what tracks are our favorites, and we want everyone to chip in. So if you've been playing Mario Kart, please say and let us know your thoughts. But Ben, do you have any kind of general thoughts to start us off on the new tracks?
Yeah, I mean, I really like them. I think what a lot of people were worried about when they first showed them was like they look terrible. Like they look kind of really basic and as though they're ports from the mobile game, which maybe they are, but I just don't think they look bad at all. I think they fit in perfectly. Maybe if you analyzed and really looked at like the different layouts and the different, the fidelity and how how detailed some of the original tracks were to the ones that they've added. Maybe they do have less detail, but they fit in really, really well. They play very interestingly and slightly different. Like, yeah, there are certain tracks like the Paris track that changes every single lap, which I find really interesting and confusing because I always end up heading off in the wrong direction. But I do like how they've added some real life places like Paris, like Tokyo, and I would be interested to see if they've got any new ones like that. And I wonder if I would also like, how they've got, and I know how they never want it to be like Nintendo Kart, it's Mario Kart, but it would be interesting if they did some more tracks a bit like going around Hyrule Castle, but maybe with some other games as well, like a Splatoon track. I mean, they've got Animal Crossing, they've got Hyrule, they've got the F-Zero track. They could add some more games, some like newer games maybe. Xenoblade.
Well, I don't know with the DLC tracks, I don't know if they're all from past games. So if it's just classics or if they're going to do some new ones. I don't know if they said that or not.
I don't know, yeah, because what isn't the Ninja Hideout technically not for, well, they've claimed that it's not, but they didn't say where it's from, even though it is technically from the mobile game or from the DS
That's
games.
the confusing thing with that one is that on all the ones it says in the corner which game it's from, and the Ninja one I'm pretty sure is from Tor. I think it's well known that it's from Tor, but that's the only one that doesn't have a game on it, as if it's new. But I don't think it is. I mean, I haven't played Mario Kart Tour. I guess the two things I've noticed from the Tour tracks is they are sort of based, apart from Ninja Hideaway, they're based on real places. So you've got Paris, you've got Tokyo, and actually I quite like that. And I'm guessing that's the reason for it being Tour, because it's like a world tour, which has only really clicked for me having played these new tracks. They also seem a lot wider. Which I'm guessing is because of the motion controls on mobile.
Yeah.
It's a bit more lenient. So they seem a lot wider. And yeah, they are, I think, less detailed and a little bit basic. I
don't think you notice it too much. Maybe, yeah. Maybe if you
you really analyze it, you can, and slow it down, you can see, instead of a grass texture, it's just green, and things like that. So it does look simplified a little bit. But I still think that they play well. And when we've been playing online and jumping around the different tracks, you don't really notice too much like, oh, this one suddenly looks awful. It fits in. It's still Mario Kart. The characters still look great because it's the same character models. And that's really what you're focused on more than anything, I think, rather than the background of the track. I, like you, I really like the tracks that do something different. So the Paris track, where the third track is different, it goes backwards, or the Tokyo track, each lap is different. I really like that, and I think that's something that would be really fun for them to expand on in future games. Every game has had its own little twist, be it Double Dash with the two characters, or 8 with the sort of gravity stuff. So if they had tracks that all morphed and did something different each time, I think that would be really cool. And I really like the Ninja Hideaway one. I feel like people are a little less enthused by that one because it's a bit complicated, but I like that there are so many different routes, and it's you can jump off and go up a ramp or not this time, and lots of shortcuts. I really like that, and I wish that the tracks were a bit more complicated and had more shortcuts and things to them that you could find, instead of it just being a very obvious track.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about it is once you get to know it a bit, you can kick ass. Anybody that's joining and they're new to it, you're like, well, I'm going to beat you, which I like. What Absolutely. Are people saying in the Discord?
We've had a couple of comments in Discord. Moon Princess, haven't gotten a chance to play all of the new tracks yet, but they're really good so far. My favorite is always Choco Mountain. That won't change. Classic N64 one, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then we've got Moni. I generally love the new tracks. Some of them are a bit weird. I'm talking about You Ninja Hideaway. How dare.
Wow.
But generally think the new additions are great. I do really doubt if it's necessary to stretch this out over such a long period of time, because while they are generally nice tracks, I do also find not all of them are massively complicated or super exciting. So I feel they could potentially wear out quickly, which then just also makes you question the long stretch more. My favorite so far is Paris Promenade, but maybe that's just my desperate need for travel speaking here.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. They are stretching this out over a really long time. And I do feel like that is a business decision to get people to subscribe as part of the expansion, more than it's taking them a long time to develop, because it's not going to take them that long, I'm sure. So I feel like it is more of a business decision to stretch it out. But I also get that it's, it takes a bit of time, or it allows a bit of time for these new tracks to embed a little bit. When people are playing the game online, now they can mix in these new tracks with the old ones and get used to them and play them a lot before the next chunk come out. It's not like here's a load of new tracks all in one go and it's a bit overwhelming. I don't mind that it's spaced out, but 2 years essentially is a long time.
Also, we have some other breaking news. Watch the chat.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wait. Not yet. Wait.
We're all waiting, Ben.
You're all
we're on
waiting.
10 hooks here. Come on.
Here we go. Oh. Wait a minute.
Copy paste. Come on.
Yeah. Can you see it? Can you see it now?
I can't.
It's not showing up for me, but I think it might work. But yeah, the announcements on Twitch now exist. I don't know if anyone else can see it.
Oh, yes. I can't see it in the chat that I have now.
I think you have to refresh.
Okay. I think mods can now do announcements within chat. So you can sort of highlight a message as an announcement.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is because today is, firstly, Trans Visibility Day. Trans Day of Visibility.
It is.
But also Twitch obviously likes to forget and just not, of all the other days, of all the days they could do it. But they've also decided today is Mod Appreciation Day. So they've launched this feature because mods can do it as well. And I really like that feature. Very cool.
It is nice.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments? No? That will be it for the podcast. And I think also for the stream, because I'm actually really, really tired, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Because also if I stream till 11, then it'll be like another hour of me trying to get to sleep, and I'll just be tired tomorrow. So we will do some Fall Guys. I was trying to get Ed to do some Cuphead, but he said I think we would never speak to each other again after playing some Cuphead co-op.
Well, I'm open to whatever chat would like to see in future. Cuphead is very fun. I mean, I've played it already, so I can at least guide you a little bit in how to play. But it is not an easy game, and if you end up dying and trolling me, I am going to get really frustrated.
Yeah, maybe we won't. But yeah, maybe like.
But it might be fun to play in co-op. But then there's also Fall Guys that's just very, very silly. That I'm sure we can both. Well, I mean, you might not win a crown because you haven't yet, but we can both lose that in equal fashion.
Exactly. Yeah, because people are like good at that game now. But yeah, we'll be doing some of that at some point. But yeah, thank you very much. Where can we find you, Ed?
You can find me at Ed_Nights with an N on Twitch, on Twitter, and you can see my writing on Eurogamer.
And you've got a review for Sonic coming out tomorrow.
Indeed.
Sonic 2.
And also next week, there will be a preview of 2 Point Campus.
I'm excited to read that.
Go look forward to that.
Excellent. All right. And yep, you can find me everywhere. BiggusBennus. BiggusBennus BiggusBennus1 on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, BiggusBennus, Twitch, BiggusBennus, and just type into Google and you'll find it, I'm sure. So, and also if you want to check out this podcast with all the links for it, or you want to listen to any of the old ones, then just go to splitthescreen.com for all your podcasting needs. Thank you very, very much, Ed. And also thank you very much to Brian, aka Urban Bohemian, for joining us.
Yes.
And having my back when it comes to Destiny 2, one of the greatest games ever made.
If you say so.
I'll get you into it. I mean, you do seem to kind of like it a little bit, don't you?
I am by no means averse to Destiny.
He's by no means averse.
Funny. I will more than happily play it. It's just I'm not as embedded as you are.
Can we clip it and I'll edit the audio? It'll be fine.
Sure.
All right. Well, if I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the window. Is that the phrase? What's that goodbye phrase?
Oh no. We're not doing that. But instead, thank you all very much for listening and for being here. We'll see you next week. Be there or be split.
There we go. Okay, the recording is stopped, but the stream is still on, so don't swear, Ed. Sarge. Sarge, oh my God, there's a Sarge in chat. Sarge, it's going really, really well. Just in time for us to finish the stream. But yeah, Sarge, can we get a shout out for Sarge? How are you doing? Is that a name change that I see? Is that a name change? It used to be MSarge 69420, I think it was. No, something like that. Hope you're doing well, Sarge. Sarge is a music man. I hope you're doing well. But yeah, we are just ending now. 5:10, that was it. 5:10, not 4:20. 5:10. But yeah, we're gonna go and find someone to raid. I mean, we are gonna go and raid. I think we'll go and raid. Who have we not raided in a while? I'm gonna go and find someone that all haven't. I'm gonna go. I can't remember if I raided him or not. And actually, no, they're playing a game that I really want to play, so I can't watch any of it. We're gonna go and raid. Cause I'm Ed, who's playing Ghost of Tsushima. Amazing. Yeah. So go and give Ed a lot of love. And Sarge, so good to see you. I'm sorry we're just ending now. A lot of stuff has changed. I'm living in London nowadays. So yeah, lots of stuff's been happening. But yeah, I will hopefully see you all on Sunday for a longer stream. And yeah, have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much. Bye.